I just kind of wanted to give an overview on one of my favorite characters, probably in fighting games. And Sin is a relatively basic character with pretty big normals, huge specials, and he's a character that like excels in space control and high damage. His calorie gauge lets him perform special moves, and he can just kind of like chain specials into specials as his unique gimmick. So to start with the calorie gauge, Sin starts the round at about 10,000 calories, and each move outside of like eating and the pole jump takes about 1,000 for him to do. So running out of calories causes Sin to get hungry, and this is more or less just a death sentence, so you shouldn't let this happen. And to recover calories, you need to eat food after a hard knockdown or sneak it into some of your block strings if you have the meter. Eating brings Sin directly to 10,000 calories again. Unique to Sin is the ability to cancel specials into each other for an extra 1,000 calories. So for example, Elcon, which is 1,000, into Beak Driver, which is another 1,000, would cost a total of 3,000. This sounds kind of complicated, but honestly, it's pretty straightforward once you get used to it. In Rev1, they actually added like color coding to the calorie gauge, so it's pretty easy to get an idea of where you should give up pressure and start eating. Sin has an extremely like dominant ground game and is pretty much able to bully a lot of the characters into like respecting his bubble. So 5S, 2K, 2D, they're all like extremely good mid-range pokes that like let him convert into Beak Driver. Once people start to get annoyed with your buttons, they'll probably resort to jumping in, and so Sin is fortunate to have a good 6P. His 6P is like extremely good at stopping people in the air and generally lets him convert into close S for a high damage little baby conversion. As for jump-ins, he has a button for pretty much every angle. His jump S is a decent jump-in and can be chained into jump 6H if you do it high enough. His jump 6H doesn't hit super far below, but it actually has a vacuum effect and has like a weirdly high amount of hit stun. It's actually really good to mash out if you're air teching. JH has pretty low hit stun, but it hits really far below, so it's actually really useful for fuzzying or instant overheading a lot of like taller characters. JK is pretty useful for hitting like directly above Sin's head, and it has like abnormally high amounts of hit stun on counter hit. And then JD halts Sin's momentum and can be used as a frame trap or a throw bait or like a bootleg overhead if you need it to. For his special moves, Beak Driver is probably like the most important move in his kit. Beak Driver is like a giant two-hitting poke that like destroys projectiles, forces wall bounce on counter hit, can be done in the air, can be mashed on the ground for a knockdown follow-up, and can be held for pretty much as long as you need it to do. If you're used to the Strive version, you'll pretty much be surprised at how ridiculous it functions in this game. It like literally does everything you would like ever need a special move to do, to be honest. Hawk Baker is like technically a safe on block DP since it can be special canceled. A lot of people hate dealing with this move since it can be hard to bait out with like a backdash option select. It also has like the ability to clean hit when it's done deep, and the clean hit gives the attack more hit stun, so it's pretty useful for combos. You'll know if you get it because they'll flash red or something. So Full Bash functions as a pretty much full screen pseudo anti-air overhead move. It's pretty slow, so a lot of good players can kind of blitz it on reaction, but it functions pretty well as like a anti-air, get out of this space, respect me in this zone kind of move. Elcon is a sliding attack that doesn't have like an active hitbox until it like gets close to the opponent. But despite that, it's pretty important for Sin's kit since it allows him to start or like continue his offense. And it's even on block as long as they don't IB it, so make sure to like special cancel it into stuff that you need to keep it safe. Vulture Seas is a special move that can only be done in the air, and it hits pretty far below Sin. We ended up calling this the fish hook for a really long time in my circles. It's mainly used to convert off the overhead jump D, but it can also be used to like bait a few anti-airs or anything useful for altering your momentum. Lastly, Sin has two different pole jump specials, and they can both move at different angles depending on which direction you hold, so it's pretty important to keep note of which one you're going to need for your combo conversions. The move doesn't cost anything, so you can just kind of throw it out if they're respecting you, to be honest. As for Sin supers, RTL is a frame 4 reversal that hits 3 times, and you can actually combo from it off of a basic conversion. This kind of lets Sin do wall-to-wall combos if you route things properly. For his other super, Voltic Dane is a slow-moving set-play fireball, and it's pretty useful after a knockdown to force a mix-up, or you can throw it out in your block string since it's always 5 hits. Since it can be used in the air, it's actually pretty good for comboing directly from your JD, since it doesn't really matter if they block it or not. As for his block strings, I'm not going to get into like crazy detail about this just because this is something that you're just going to learn as you play. But these are some pretty common block strings that you end up doing with him. These are pretty much his basic combos that you're going to be able to do in almost every matchup, and they're pretty relevant. They're not like the end-all be-all combos. Everybody does XRD combos like a little bit different, so just kind of do what works for you, but this is going to give you a pretty good idea what you need to do with the character. So to conclude stuff, notable to Sin is that he's really good, he's pretty easy, and he looks cool. That helps as well. And he's one of the few characters with an EVO title under his belt. So in EVO 2016, Machobo actually played Sin in Rev 1, and he had a pretty dominant run that year. And despite some nerfs in Rev 2, Sin continues to be a pretty strong beginner-friendly character. I gotta shill this. This is what Sin gave me. Shoutouts to our boy Sin. Got me a trophy, 2017, baby. You know what it be. I'd say Sin was one of the characters that actually helped me like understand how to play fighting games, because he was like normal enough that he helped me build skills that were pretty useful, I'd say, just long term. So I owe Sin a lot, and I hope other people are able to have fun playing him too. So thanks.